When you see a dead body, it's just kind of like, this is cool, this is strange, this is what, like, this person is dead, they're gonna be dead forever now.
It is the most popular weird hobby.
There's the real world and there's this world. People are intrigued with how friendly these birds, are.
I really think that stigma is kind of, it's not as prevalent. And usually when people say it, it's just people who like, it's either something they decided years ago.
If you see me on the street, you don't have to shout over, oh, don't bite me. I'm not gonna bite you. Like, you probably taste horrible. My name is Annie, first of all, and in my free time, I like to visit cemeteries. When I'm in the graveyards, I would usually stroll around and just admire the scenery. If I'm with friends, I'll walk around with them and I'll talk to them, and usually we'll sit down somewhere and chat. But mainly I go for the historical aspect of it as well, because it's really interesting to look at really old graves and the history behind them. I just think that's really fascinating.
My name is Neil Marshall. I am 28 years old and I'm from Portmarnock, County Dublin. My first memory on the planet is watching wrestling, and that's probably why it's gone on this long, to be honest. It ticked all the boxes that it would when you're a kid watching a cartoon, especially if you're a male, I think. But it was live, it was real. And then beyond that, into adulthood, I don't even want to think about what I've spent on wrestling.
I'm married 28 years, I've got 4 kids. My main hobby is breeding and hand rearing and training budgies. Probably my first pets would have been the budgies. Now, we always had a family dog, but it wasn't my dog. But the budgies were mine. So that was, my first pets would have been the budgies. And when I got them, I just became fascinated with them. And I was intrigued by them. And when I started breeding them was a different level again, because when I seen the eggs hatch and these tiny little things, bits of life, develop over weeks, develop feathers, and seeing the beautiful colours that budgies become, that just hooked me, and I've been hooked ever since.
Eventually one day I started to evolve into a different kind of person, really. I took up different interests, I started listening to different music, I even started going to town, and that's actually when I seen people dressed like the way I do now, really. I was like, oh my god, I love their style so much. And I loved, that you could find like beauty in darkness, really. I thought that was so nice. So I just started to experiment with my fashion. And I'll actually never forget the day that I did that for the first time. My mum and my whole family were all going out for lunch, and she was like, up and put something on you, like something really nice, a dress. So I went up and I was like, I don't want to wear pink today, I don't want to wear this. So I took out all the black clothes in my wardrobe, I shredded up a pair of tights, I got a really ragged old skirt and a top that I cut loads of holes in. I found this choker that was black with little silver studs, and I wore it. And then painted my eyes pure black, very badly, let me add. My hair was back combed, it looked like a bird's nest. It was brown and blonde, it was disgusting. God. But I thought at the time I was fabulous. And I went downstairs, my mum was just like, that's new.
It's a very strange thing to like, in the sense that I think when you're younger, there is a mystique to it because you think it's perhaps legit. Well, I certainly did, most young people do. So if you grow up in a house like I did where there's a lot of people watching sports and it's a sporty kind of house, You know, that was almost my kind of sport. And then as I kind of got into my formative years and you kind of realize that the jig is up and it's entertainment, then you're watching it in a different way. You're watching it in kind of like, okay, if I was in control, because the whole thing can be controlled, I wouldn't have that guy win because I think he's actually, you know, you could make more money off this guy, and so on and so forth. So the way that it changed as I got older, the way I looked at it changed. I don't even think there was a few months I've ever not actually kept up with the product, to be honest.
Pretty bird, come on. Pretty bird. Hello. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. Yes, now you're taking it all in. Yes. Who are all these people? In the real world, I run a taxi rental company, which involves a lot of stress, hard work, stress, and this is my escape from the real world. And when I come in here, it's like everything else is gone, you know, particularly if I put my phone on silent. I'm just in a different world, and it's just me and the birds, and we're on a different level, and it's so peaceful. It is so peaceful, because actually when you're in here you can't hear anything else outside. I find it very, very rewarding. Granted, it's not for everybody, but it's amazing how many people weren't aware that birds could be this friendly, and they just pictured budgies in a cage and that's it. But they've never actually witnessed birds being this friendly. I'm the only person in Ireland that does what I'm doing, and as a matter of fact, I could possibly be the only person in the world that does it with budgies. It's a wonderful, wonderful hobby.
Yeah, the only constant negative that you'd get, and you wouldn't get that often, is just when people like to tell you that wrestling isn't real, you know, as if you don't know that. And, you know, I would always say to them, well, you know, your favourite film isn't real, or every soap opera that's on television isn't real. But they think it's some sort of like, you know, huge moral victory for them to tell you, as if you didn't know. If somebody can point out a wrestling fan over the age of 10 or 12 that thinks it's real, then, you know, come back to me. But that's not why we watch wrestling. So if I don't watch wrestling, you'd be guaranteed I'll spend an hour of my day reading about what's going on, at least, if I stop watching. I'll always have an interest in the business aspect of it and the creative aspect of it, even if I don't like what they put out on TV.
You have to have more of an open mind. You can't just assume that someone's a bad person because they dress in all black or they wear, like, you know, different clothes, basically, and they listen to different music and they're covered in piercings. Like, yeah, you can't necessarily judge a book by its cover, basically. So I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a normal person because, you know, ordinary people don't really, you know, go around graveyards. They don't look like me. They don't wear fangs pretty much every day, really. But I would consider myself a human being, obviously. And yeah, I just have a different style and different interests. It doesn't make me less normal, really.
My name is Neil Marshall. I love pro wrestling. This is me.
My name is Annie, and my idea of fun is hanging out in graveyards. This is me.
My name is Wayne. My passion is breeding, hand rearing and training budgies. It's an unusual hobby, but this is me.